Well, hey folks, Fat Guy Flies RC. This is the Hobby King BIXLER 1.1 version 2. We're going to take it up and do the maiden flight. Run a Turn G 2200 shorty in here, 3S. And rates are 100% throws, 40% expo, all the way around. And just going to take it up, timer set for 5 minutes, and we're going to see how she does. Maiden flight, running a AR410 antennaless Spectrum receiver. All right, now remember, anytime you fly in a plane like this that has the motor on top, your thrust angle is on the top, is up top. So therefore, if I was to launch this, give it full throttle, it means it's going to want to dive. So you want to launch this about half throttle into the wind if possible. Okay, I'm gonna check our control surfaces. Right, left, up, down, right, left. All right, a little windy, but that's okay. All right, here we go. Hard to tell if she's in trim because it is so windy. All right, let her glide. Does lead a little bit of up elevator. A little bit of right aileron. All right, turn the motor off. Oh yeah. Nice simple glide. Yeah, if she was terribly out of trim, I'd be having a lot of sudden movements and wouldn't be able to control her, but she's doing just fine. Balance is good. All right. Oh yeah. A little too much up elevator. Fun glider.
Time remaining 4 minutes.
Not bad for a maiden, but it's a simple plane. Just something to throw in the sky and have some fun with. All right. See how she glides? See how she lands. Let me back up a little bit. Of course, getting her to land might be a problem, because she's the kind of plane that doesn't want to come out of the sky. I'm out of the power now. Makes it very economical. Let's get turned around here. All right. This is a great beginner plane because you're going to have a real high level probability of success with this plane, because the plane will almost land on its own. There, a little touch and go, a little slap and go. All right, let's see what kind of stall characteristics she has. She has none. All right. All right, I'm hands off. Okay, hands off. I'm just going to see how she glides. See, here's my hands. Here's my hands. She's gliding on her own, flying on her own. All right, now I'm in control again. This is why this makes it great for a beginner, because it gives you time to think. All right? All right, here's what we're going to do. All right, you're flying along, you lose power. Power off, what does she do? Into the wind. She gently glides forward, a little off the right, but that's the wind, a little off the left, sorry, but that's the wind. So now let's try full up elevator. All right, into the wind, you're flying along, you lose power, full up elevator. Up elevator, up elevator, up elevator, up elevator. All right, she drops a left wing. Try that again. See if she'll drop a left wing again. All right, left wing every time.
Time remaining 3 minutes.
Up elevator, up elevator, up elevator. Right wing that time, but the wind is so strong right now, it's kind of hard to tell. But even with a strong wing drop, this plane is so forgiving. All right, holding up elevator. See, full up elevator, look what she does. And what does that do for a beginner pilot? It gives him time to think. All right. All right, full up elevator again right now. Full up elevator. Plenty of time for a pilot to think about it and get out of that stall. All right. Turn it upside down now. Full down elevator. Full down elevator. Look, power's out. All right. She actually stalls better upside down. It's very, very windy. This plane is handling it just fine. There we go. All right. Something I want you to do whenever this is part of learning these planes, number one, make sure your throttle cuts on, okay? But take your plane, okay? You know everything's neutral now, you know you got her trimmed. If you're afraid of launching these things, just take it and throw it like a chunk glider, okay? This kind of a plane you can do that with, because you want to see, you know, how it's going to react. No power, and I will go to the elevator if it looks like she's going to nose in too heavily, but I just want to see how she's going to glide. See? Gives me time to think. I don't suggest you learning how to fly on a windy day like this, but for me, this is what I've got today, so this is what I got to deal with.
Time remaining 2 minutes.
Small movements, small corrections. All right. Another nice thing, for my point of saying this is a great beginner plane, look at where that prop's at. Look at where my hand is. Okay? It's going to be very hard, or not impossible, but difficult for me to get cut when handling this kind of a plane. Another reason it makes it very good for beginner. And the other thing, you've got polyhedral in the wing. All right? Polyhedral is almost like a self-righting mechanism because it creates the low and high pressure at the end. It works opposite of each other with a wing, and so when it dips like that, when it dips down like this wing drops, this wing will push this wing back down because of the way the high and low pressure, and then the same thing here. It'll almost self-right the plane, but today it's so windy, it's kind of hard to really give a good demonstration of that. Gabriel, if you would, pan the flag so they can get an idea of what we're dealing with here. Kind of understand why it is just so windy. It's not, I'm not just blowing that out of my kazoo to show you. All right, let's go ahead and take her up again. Oh, something else I kind of loosely demonstrated a while ago. She has more than enough power to take off on her belly. Now this is one of those more advanced skill, you know, if you're especially a new pilot. So you got to pay attention to your ailerons. Just like when taking off on water, use your ailerons to help you keep your wings level to take off. All right, right, left, up, down, right, left. So if you're absolutely do not want to hand launch her, then you don't have to worry about it. This will be just fine. She's got more than enough power to take off on her belly. About 8 throttle right now. About quarter throttle into the wind. Half throttle now. Now there's full throttle. Just show you that the plane is more than aerobatic capable. But you do have that polyhedral that will hinder some aerobatics.
Time remaining 1 minute.
It's not going to give you much of a ballistic roll rate either. I wish today was a calm day because it would be, I could really do more of a beginner series on flying this thing, but it's so windy today that it's going to put people off and thinking this is a great stable plane. It is very stable, but with this wind, it doesn't appear like it is. Now, if you're an experienced pilot, you'll understand that, yeah, that thing is really great, really locked in. But a beginner's going to think, man, that thing's all over the place. If this was calm day, yeah, it wouldn't be a problem. You'd definitely be thinking, man, what a cool plane. This is the maiden flight, folks. I've never had this in the air before. Now, I have flown many planes like this type of configuration.
Seconds.
And that green and white and black really makes for some nice distinct coloration. Great for orientation. Stripes on the underside of the wing are great. Definitely good for a grass field. All right. We had 25 seconds left, but I think I have proven the point. Throttle cut is on, see? Okay. But the point is that for, I want to say this is $96 or $99. Everything you need is buy a simple, now I've got an AR410 Spectrum receiver in here, okay? That runs you about 45 to 50 bucks. However, you can buy, if you're Spectrum, you can buy a Lemon RX 7-channel, which is, or even their 6-channel. The 6-channel is like $12, would be fine for this. And their 7-channel with no stabilization is like $18. Now, that's more channels than you need because you only need 4. But my point is you don't have to spend that kind of money. The battery that's in here is a Turnigy 2200 Shorty. Run you about, I think, $12 to $15, okay, for this little battery here. Put it all the way to the very front. You'll get CG, no problem, okay, which I demonstrated in the unboxing build. And it's got a 30 amp speed controller, but you have maybe $15 in the battery, another 15 to 20 in the receiver, $100 in this. You know, for 150 bucks, you've got a complete flying plane. Now, your transmitter, of course, is a different expense. But I highly suggest if you're going to get into this hobby and you're going to stay in this hobby, get a transmitter, get the most expensive transmitter that's the biggest transmitter that you can afford. In other words, if all you can afford is a 6-channel, then get a 6-channel. But if you can go ahead and spring for that 8-channel or a 10-channel or more, go ahead and do it. Because as you get in the hobby, you'll grow and you'll require more channels and more planes and more complexity. That way you want a transmitter that's going to grow with. This is your biggest first time expense, is your transmitter. After that, it's the batteries, and planes are one-time purchases. So, well, anyways, that's the Hobby King BIXLER. Let's go ahead and check our battery after flying for almost a full 5 minutes. I'll be willing to bet there's a lot of battery left. So, if I can get a hold of the balance lead here. Ha! 59% left. Yeah. Let's take it up for just a little bit more. I want to get that battery a little further down. I want to get it down below 50 if all possible. But, so really set your timer for 8 minutes. Fly the way you want. Motor's on. Just a nice forward chunk. That's all you got to do. Straight and level, straight forward. Now, this plane does have one fatal flaw. Now, it's not necessarily a fatal flaw, but it does have one flaw, and I've already rectified that, but I will share that with you as soon as we land. If you do a lot of what I'm doing now, getting her up high and gliding her down, not using your electronics, you're fine. Not using the ESC much, you're fine. But the interior of this airplane has no cooling whatsoever. And I'm going to show you how I fix that. See what I mean by thrust angle? Watch, I'm gonna give it gas suddenly.
Timer expired.
See how it wants to dive immediately? This is why you never launch something like this at full throttle. Here, I'm going to show you again, full throttle. See how it wants to dive a little bit? Now you can go in there and do a mix, throttled elevator mix if you like, but I prefer the new pilot to learn to react with his fingers and not rely on a mix. Could almost hand cut, almost catch it. I just don't suggest doing that. I don't want to show that because then a new pilot will say, I can do that. And even though it would be hard to get cut, then they'd say, well, if that guy did it, and look at me, I lost a finger. All right, check the battery again, and then we'll talk about the one flaw this plane has. And it's, you don't have to buy anything or anything special to overcome it. You just got to have a tool. All right, good, we're at 48%. Like I mentioned, the plane has no cooling inside, okay? So, that ESC, I really can't leave my finger on it. One thing you want to do is Velcro it to the side. That way it's got a little bit of air between it and the surface of the plane. And but it doesn't really have any cooling. So what I've done was, if you look there, I got a hole there and I've got a hole there. And then there is some ambient heat that can get out through the smaller holes in the back of the tail. But that shoves a little bit of air in there and gets that ESC a little bit cooler. So that's what I did. I just poked the scissors through there and reamed it out. Poke scissors through here, ream that out, and then line that with a little bit of glue to make that, the hole won't get any bigger. But that way, you really can't see it when it's flying. You look at it now that you know to look for it. But that puts a little bit of coolant in there. And there are some, what I really need to do is go back here somewhere along the line and cut me a hole along here and then put some glue in that around the sides of that hole so that it doesn't expand, to where the air can pass through and escape. That's the only real flaw. And so just don't be flying this plane, you know, take one battery, fly for 8 minutes, change the battery, take off, fly for 8 minutes. Let this ESC cool down to where you can comfortably leave your finger on the ESC and it feels cool, or at least not warm, not hot, okay, before you fly it again. That ESC is still pretty hot. I'm going to fly something else and I'll come back and we'll fly it again. All right, well, thank you so much for watching. I hope I helped give you a good example of, you don't have to buy the $300 Horizon Hobby product to get into this hobby, okay? You can spend $100 and get a nice solid plane that you can grow with, that you can take anywhere, fly anywhere. It's very, very light, very easy to fly, and very forgiving. And it's good because it's a full 4-house control. That way you're good about learning spatial awareness of the plane and always flying in a sanctioned field if at all possible. All right, God bless y'all guys. Good. Gabriel, thank you for filming. And that is the Hobby King BIXLER, one of my highest recommendation planes for a beginner to start flying. Yes, I know it's not new. I know it's not exciting and flashy and lights and flaps and power, but it's a good solid plane. And if you're going into this hobby, this is a great first choice. All right, God bless y'all. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye-bye.